something went on here, something went on there.
This time on TNT,
we dissect the Connor McDavid lottery.
we compare Steve Perry's.
And we take a canoe down Camp Memory Lane. All coming up right now on TNT.
38. Hey.
Took me 38 episodes to get a brand new microphone.
Oh, wow.
How do I sound, do you think?
Sounding sweet, JT.
I can't help with my new microphone, but to talk like this at the end of every sentence.
It's on now. It's absolutely perfect.
It actually looks like, you know when you do your breaking news, boys? It looks like that kind of microphone because it's kind of 1950s-ish.
Oh, I know. I think I know the one you're talking about.
Speaking of breaking news, bud, my daughter lost her first tooth this week, and then she lost another tooth this week.
Really?
What does the tooth fairy leave?
Ooh, oh man, I got a good story with that because my son, eldest John, who's 9 now, he actually knocked out a couple teeth at Christmas time.
How?
His 2 front teeth, literally, like the song.
Like all I want for Christmas is my 2 front teeth? How did he do that? Like diving off the couch?
He fell forward at the kitchen table, leaning on the chair, and went right into the corner of the table and knocked his 2 front teeth in, and then they fell out. But he, for some reason, had this like strict reasoning that he needs, the going rate is $16 for a tooth.
Come on.
Yeah. Like, he's like, that's what it is. And somehow the way he brought it up and said it to us, it was just like, that's the number. And that's just the way it is. And any other reasoning changing the number would be like, why when I have
that's
this
so
number?
specific, too. It's like my mom in the contraption. She spoke with such authority, you just kind of believe.
So we had to find $32 and fire it under his pillow.
Come on.
Like, how crazy. Yeah. And then he lost another one later, $16. It's like
you had to cash in an RSP?
Yeah, $16.
I did an informal poll of some of the other parents around the thing yesterday, and everybody seemed to think $5 for the first and $1 for everyone after that.
$1? $1?
I mean, the good thing is,
how's inflation not affected the tooth fairy?
Well, I got a
58
quarter.
Years. Yeah, so it's only gone up that much?
The problem with loonies and toonies is, bud, they're so loud if they were to fall off the bed and hit the floor, they'd wake the person up.
Who cares? That's part of the deal. Hey, woke them up.
We went to Dollarama because my daughter, Shug, got to burn her $5 at Dollarama. That was a deal. Yeah.
Nice.
And I love that
it's almost as good as going to Carl's Jr. or something like that. You can get all kinds of stuff.
Oh, she was into it. Yeah, she cleaned up. It was like, all right, you have 4 things and you only have $1 left. My wife covered the tax for her, which I thought was really nice. But they have their Canada Day stuff out in full force.
Yes.
Feet of snow on the ground, but they have hats with a flag with moose antlers and Canadian flag, liquor mugs. They're ready for it.
Yeah, and we need to talk about the fact that it's the end of April here, and it's snowing here in the morning. I thought it was done. We had a couple days of weather in the teens, and now we are back to freezing cold again. This is just too much.
Something weird's going on, bud. My wife's grandfather said if it's a mild January, that's when you know you're in for it.
I'm going to have to move to Point Pelee.
Why? What's it doing there? It's balmy.
It's the most southern tip we got, bud.
It's more south than Windsor?
I believe it is. I believe it's way down there if you check her out.
Did you ever hear when Steve Perry was on Q? I'm conscious of popping my P's because I don't have a mic windscreen. So there's Point Pelee and Steve Perry, and I'm trying not to pop them. Yeah. When Steve Perry was on Q with that guy who may or may not have done all that bad stuff to all those women, yes. He asked him if South Detroit was a real thing, because technically Windsor is south of Detroit.
Yeah.
And Steve Perry confessed that, born and raised in South Detroit. South Detroit is not actually a thing. It just sounded good in the song.
Exactly. That's so Journey. to the T that it's just like so formulated. We need something that's gonna ring, bud.
Yeah, South Detroit.
And that little guitar player, what's his name?
Low guy?
of Journey. He played with Santana, and for some reason, not Neil Sean.
Well, how about the new Steve Perry?
He's a piece of work.
Have you seen him?
The new Steve Perry, like I think they put him in like a cage in the bus after like that's how locked down he is.
They don't want him talking to anybody.
They don't. No, he doesn't. He gets like food and water, and they put him in the cage.
So the way I understand it, he was the lead singer of a Journey cover band somewhere in South America, I think, right? And when Steve Perry left, they were looking on the YouTubes, and they saw this guy. Yeah. And he's more Steve Perry than Steve Perry.
Well, there was actually a few other Steve Perrys before. Like, Steve Perry was gone a long time ago, and they had another fake Steve Perry. And they even had, like, Dean Castronovo, the drummer. He sings. Like, he does a crazy Steve Perry.
Does he?
Yeah, like, the singer will leave for a few songs, and the drummer, Dean, will rip a couple. If you get a chance, you gotta take a look at Dean Castronovo ripping some of the tunes, because that's actually pretty funny.
He's good, is he?
Maybe, what we should do is, when we come back from a break at some point, we have to play one of these things, and we'll do it.
Like one of the fake Steve Perrys? It's like a Perry or no Perry. You know what we'll call it?
Yes.
We'll call it Come Perry. I think it was, like, Arnold's unbelievable. And if you were to compare Arnold, he sounds like him for sure.
Okay, perfect. We'll set it up.
I want to
be there. And you gotta see the drummer do it, though.
He does a good Steve Perry, too?
He kills it.
Mike Smith and I had an 80s band for a while called the Should Have Been Gons.
And he's not, like, getting off the kit. He's sitting back there crushing the drums, too.
Oh, my gosh. We're going to need you to do these tunes, bud, and play the drums? Look, it's either that or break up, bud. It's the same way that...
he's like, check it out. He just rips into it better than Steve Perry.
It's the same way that Gowan is now the lead singer of Styx. So he does some Come Sail Away, and then he does some Criminal Mind.
Sure, yeah, he opens up, right?
Because Dennis DeYoung pieced out after Desert Moon.
He's like, they're in, like, Kansas, and there's, like, 13 people that care about it. He's like, guys, let's just not worry about Cowan tonight.
Aww.
Hey, let's just, because he's, like, doesn't feel it, because he's got to do 2 sets and work it out. No, man, it's no big deal.
Guys,
he's still getting paid. He's not doing it because he just doesn't feel like it.
Let's skip over Moonlight Desires tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're sending.
So how do you feel about getting McDavid, Bod?
I'm going to tell you something. I jumped off the couch with my mouth open and my arms raised over my head in excitement.
Yeah.
And then instantly it was like, well, now what? It's like the solution to a problem that didn't exist. Don't get me wrong. Everything you see about the guy suggests he's going to be a monster in this league. He's going to be incredible.
Well, Gretzky himself said this is the best prospect he's seen in 30 years.
Yeah, so
crazy. That's crazy.
There's no question it's a huge boost. But it's also a huge boost where we technically are probably hurting the least. Eberle's had some challenges this season, there's no question. Hall was gone with injury. Nuge is still growing. Yak is a bit of a wild card. But in theory, those guys are all awesome.
No kidding.
What we need is a goalie and a defenseman.
Room.
I know, it's crazy. I said what we need is a goalie and a defenseman.
Well, I mean, isn't that the problem with every other team in the basement? I mean, including the Leafs? Not necessarily in the goal, but in the defense department.
Well, see, that's your argument, right? You think Bernier's good, and he's just not getting any support.
Well, how could he not be with 40-plus shots a night and still, like, 1 or 2 goal games? Like, it's not like he lost games for them. Sure, he probably lets in the odd soft goal, but, I mean, the guy is a great goaltender, and he's on the worst defense that goes around. And there's like once a puck comes into their end, it's madness for the guy always.
So who are you, a Reimer guy or a Bernier guy? It's like cutting your peeler. You have to pick.
I like Reimer. I think he's a great backup. I think you're not seeing the possibilities of some of the key components of that team. There's obviously such a huge hole at defense, and the I guess the defensive side of some of the forwards that we have, like between Bozak and Kessel, it just seems like we have no defense either. So I mean, it's frustrating, but I do think that with better defense, that goaltending would definitely show a lot stronger.
Right. So do you think, for example, if Bernier was on the Bruins or the Blackhawks, he would be an A-class goalie?
Well, it was hard to tell, but I mean, he looked pretty good with the Kings, before
he sure did.
He went there. So who knows what would have happened there, but that's just a good example. And I think a lot of Myrtle did a piece last week in the Star, and hearing a lot of people talk about it, and you see it a lot now in the playoffs where the teams that are winning the cups, you don't necessarily have to have like an elite superstar goaltender, and maybe it's not smart to spend a lot of money on a goaltender thinking that's what you have to do. Maybe you need somebody like how Chicago does it, or how the Kings do it, or how other teams where it's clearly not somebody who's a superstar goalie who's proven himself in the playoffs over and over. It's more kind of someone who can stop games, and it's more about the offensive power and the defensive core of the team, as opposed to their standing on their head every night like the Hasek days.
Well, exactly, but if you look at Edmonton right now, like, this might be a controversial statement, I would trade Yak and Nuge for Doughty and Quick.
Well,
or for Subban and Price. It's never going to happen, but those two pieces would excite me a lot more than this turbocharged
Edmonton,
front loader.
Scrivens is he's terrible in my opinion. That it couldn't be any worse. So they definitely need to do something for a goalie that can back up such talent. Like, it's not, you can't go halfway either. You know what I mean? Like, he's a backup from somewhere else that really kind of had a handful of great games, as opposed to your stellar elite future goaltender.
Yeah, but to your point, in the absence of actual defense, it's hard to even tell how good Scrivens is. But I hear you. He let in some softies. He was inconsistent. And I gather he'd be the first to tell you that.
Yeah, well, I think you guys need to start off at a better position there if you're going with all this action up front. Like, you can't have...
But doesn't it mean if you have Yak, Nuge, Hall, and Eberle, and now McDavid, doesn't it stand to reason then that you deal a couple of those assets to try to fill in some holes elsewhere?
Yeah, no, well, they do need to do
So who would
work.
you
That's
trade?
The thing. Who would I trade?
Yeah.
I think you probably be smart to get rid of one or two of those young studs, whether it be a Yakupov or even a Hall, just to try and get somebody. I think they need to make a move like a Subban or it wouldn't
Shea Weber.
Insane? But what if the Habs falter big time and stink it up through the playoffs, and Carey Price wants to win a cup? Edmonton looks pretty good at this point next year. If he's thinking of wanting to go somewhere to see a dynasty, that's the type of goaltender that can make that kind of difference.
Yeah, it sure is.
So who knows?
They'll never let him go.
But if he wants to go, he can go. That's the way it works, generally. I mean, I can understand if they wouldn't let him go, but there's no amount of money if you want to win a cup and you see the opportunity on a team like that. It's like the Miami Heat thing. When you see that much stacked up stuff, you think about the rings and you think about the run of cups and all that eclipses no matter what a franchise is willing to pay.
Well, it's also got to be a cap thing, because McDavid's not going to come cheap. And now they have 5 Class A young forwards on long contracts. They can't afford that.
Then they'll be getting paid soon enough. But right now, they're hoping, because the production isn't there, that they're going to be worth less. But It's the same thing with Kessel. People think, well, he's not producing. Who's going to want to spend that money on that contract? You got to be pretty stupid to not realize that guy's potential and his actual talent, and realization that if he played on a better team of players around him, he would probably be in a position that no one's ever seen him, even with the Bruins.
Like Rick Nash, how he's fitting in and on the Rangers, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, that kind of guy is a stud wherever he goes.
So what do you think the Leafs will do in the offseason as far as dealing guys? Is Kessel out of there?
I think Phaneuf will be gone and Kessel will be gone, and they'll be better off. And those are the things that have to happen for a real clean slate, like what Shanahan's talking about.
Yeah.
Like if he's actually talking about things are going to change, then those are the things that clearly have to be changed. Cause
what's the deal with Kadri, Bud?
I don't know. Maybe he gets too banged up. Who knows? I think it's because he's from here, there's too much focus on here. He'd probably be better off somewhere else, too.
Right.
There's a lot of the kid, like Lupul seems to be getting just too bitten into the press side of Toronto as well. Like a lot of these guys, it's the media attention is just too much for them without the winning. And you got to be a pretty serious goal scorer to deal with that kind of scrutiny. And those guys aren't producing the second line like they should be, or like they were last year. So that's why it gets a lot more difficult, and it really hurts when people say things.
It's crazy.
Crazy stuff.
It's crazy stuff, Bud. It is.
Talking hockey, talking playoffs. Hoping the Calgary Flames can keep it going. I was hoping the Jets were going to get it going. They did not. Ottawa, maybe they'll keep it going. Wouldn't that be nice?
It is unbelievable the difference in tone between the last regular season game and the first playoff game. It's a whole nother level, as the kids say. Yeah. It's so intense, and I feel like the series so far this year have been more physical than ever before. People are just giving each other the business.
Absolutely, and you had that game with the Sens and the Habs that kind of set the tone, and by Subban not really getting that much of nothing handed to him suspension-wise for that smash that... when you take a stick over your head and take it onto someone's wrist, you should be penalized. And that, if it didn't, then that's it, fair game. And that's why you're seeing people getting crushed all the time. That hit that the wonderful defenseman Carlson laid, a couple days ago. That was ridiculous.
He's been more physical than I ever remember him being.
Yeah, well,
he's trying to set a tone too.
Like if you start to raise the bar like that, it's just going to keep going, and you've seen it in every series where it's just like, holy moly, man, these guys are just taking it up a notch.
It's almost like the McDavid thing in how physical these series have been, because there are two issues at play. One is what's good for the game itself and the viewers of the game, and that's it being physical. Downside is for these guys, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and you can't afford to be hurting yourself out of the playoffs. But the McDavid thing, for the game of hockey and for a city that could benefit from the likes of a player like that there, I mean, Edmonton, in a way, didn't need that. It's a hockey town. The barn sold out. They're building a new rink. There's lots to be excited about already, despite the terrible season, of course. But Buffalo, McDavid going to Buffalo, or even to Toronto for the game of hockey would have been pretty wild. It's been a while since Toronto's had a marquee Sidney Crosby level guy.
For sure, and I think to some extent Eichel is that, and especially because he's American, hopefully they can use that to their advantage. But they'll probably get him, and I mean he won't build you a new arena, but I think that he'll change the mentality of a team for sure.
For sure. Hopefully. And you kind of have to feel bad for Eichel in all this. He's an unbelievable player.
Yeah.
And he's been talked about like the consolation prize or the bridesmaid for months.
That's life, eh?
Like he's the second best prospect this year. That's incredible.
And then there's all kinds of with the Hannafin and Strome, and hopefully I guess that's what the Leafs are hoping to get with their draft of the number 4. So we'll see, man. We'll see.
We'll see, bud.
Yeah. Hey, so let's take a break and play that game. The game with the Perry.
Oh, yeah, of course. That sounds awesome.
Let's do it.
Perry. Coming right up on
Yes.
this 38th episode of Taggart And Torrens. I'm Jonathan Torrens, along with Jeremy Taggart, and we'll be right back.
Where's my beer chair?
And we're back, Jonathan. How are you doing?
Here's what I did. I pulled 3 Journey clips. One is Steve Perry. One is Arnold, the new Steve Perry, whose name is Arnold with that. You know, remember how Bryant had a T in the end?
Yes.
Arnold didn't get a D. So he's Arnold. And then your guy, the drummer.
His family was very poor.
They couldn't afford a D. So, what's your drummer friend's name? Like
Dean
Castronovo. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. In no particular order. Do you want to hear all 3 and then guess the order, or do you want to guess as they go?
Let's guess as they go.
Okay. Here comes the first one.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
All right. He loves it when you sing.
Okay.
Is that Perry? Is that Arnold? Or is it Dean Castronovo?
I think that was Arnold.
Incorrect.
Oh!
That was Perry.
That was Stevie Perry.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
All right. This is good.
Okay.
So is this one...
Let it go a little more.
Okay. Is this one Arnold or Dean Castronovo?
Castronovo.
Ready?
Yeah.
Giving it. Who is it?
That's the drummer, isn't it?
Incorrect.
Dean?
That's Arnold.
Oh, no. It's Arnold?
Yep, it's Arnold.
Oh, no.
Imagine if Dean's name was Ian, because he didn't get a D either. All right. Here
That's
comes
your
Dean.
then.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Wait till it says South Detroit. Pretty good.
Unbelievable, eh? Isn't that hilarious?
It's really funny.
Like, that's just killing it. It's like, oh yeah, I just happened to do an awesome Steve Perry. I'll do it.
What are the like 2 guys in one world doing a good Steve Perry? Steve Perry and Arnold is one thing, but 2 guys
I just
in
think
one
it's hilarious. Like, I'm feeling that it's Neil Sean, that the little guitar dude, being like, this singer, he's great, but we don't want to have him too much control. Let's find a drummer who can just kill it too, so we can take him off stage for half an hour.
Wait, so did the drummer join the band after Steve Perry left?
Yeah.
What did they do with their original drummer? That's not fair.
Like they went through all kinds of drummers. Remember, originally it was Steve Smith, and he got axed early, and then they just kind of had a succession of dudes kind of.
I always wondered, though, if you have a band with a lead singer who's so recognizable and they leave, like how do you switch that out? Do the Bare Naked Ladies try to sound like Stephen Page when they sing his parts? They can't not sing those songs.
Yeah. Well, it depends on the band. Like, Van Halen survived because people went to see Van Halen for the music as much as the singing and stuff, you know. So it depends on the band. If it's people are going to see a guy shred guitar solos and see musical drum solos and all that kind of stuff, then you can maybe afford to lose the singer. But
did Sammy Hagar try to sound like Dave?
No.
Like, not on the new stuff, but when he was doing Panama, did he try to sound like Dave?
He would just sing it like himself, and he just has that kind of male aggro voice that you don't really miss it, I guess. It got away with it.
It'd be funny to see Tyler like from Burton. The Bare Nakeds behind the drum kit going, I always thought that you fancied my brother. Trying to kick out the Stephen Page.
Do the...
And it never really know each other anyway.
Do the chains
divided, 'cause I can't decide which side I want.
Tyler just killing it. Playing the drums.
By her smile while I shop there. The promises you made. I always thought that you fancied my brother. How do they do that?
Dude, what's the part in the bridge of Brian Wilson? I was driving in the rain.
Driving down in the rain. 9:30 on a Tuesday night. Just to check out the late night record shop. Late night record shop.
Doing both. 2 mics. Oh man.
I like Stephen Page as a singer and as a songwriter, but all I'm saying is, if you're Bare Naked Ladies, how do you play those songs without the?
I think they do it without it, but
now the hours gonna show you the days go by. Now we're a place you can't afford to wait. Hey. It's hard.
The apartment.
I don't really know that one. That was their going grunge. Like they went grunge.
The Jason Priestley video.
Yeah, he directed it, right?
Yep. Oh God, I wish I could remember that one. The bridge is about buying a place on the Danforth, right?
Was it? Oh yeah, yeah, it was. I always get that done. And Living Under June by Jan Arden. We should put together an album of apartment songs. Sarah Harmer had an apartment jam too.
Doesn't she have that song about bottle tokes?
Remember Jan Arden? Sexual atrocities are happening right over me, and I can't see. She was living under June.
About? Huh?
Jan Arden was living under June. That was the name of the record, even. I think it was her landlord.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah, maybe her landlord had a contraption because crazy stuff was happening up there.
Hey, that was a great game.
Yeah, Campari.
Castra yes or Castra no?
Yeah. Arnold or Arnhell no?
Those guys just killed it. Imagine the tour managers just busts out in it.
Well, you'd be able to be pretty hard with the guys who are auditioning if you knew you had 3 more Perrys in your back pocket. Arnold, here's what you're getting. Free meals, bud. Get on the bus.
That's why I'm saying get in the cage, Arnold.
What else would Arnold be doing?
Arnold bit me! He's trying to get him up for a border crossing and he got bit the tour manager.
How does that work? What percentage of the time that you're crossing a border on a tour bus do they get on the bus and look in your pillowcase and all that?
Every time.
Without fail?
Yeah, well, they don't look through everything, but I mean, they look good. They come on the bus and they look around and they...
So it has nothing to do with the band's reputation or anything?
Well, if they come on the bus and it reeks like pot, then you're screwed. You're gonna have to go and do the whole deal. But if you're normal and don't party on your way to the border, then you're obviously, and you're not stupid enough to bring stuff across, then you'll be fine. And I think your reputation has a lot to do with it.
So in the same way that you don't use the restroom on the bus, is there no party favors for an hour before the border? Like, is there industry standard for that?
Well, I think that's probably best to not do anything the day of the border crossing on the bus if you're asking for trouble.
Right.
Unless you feel like an hour and a half wait.
Did you ever get in trouble because someone suspected that maybe you guys had something that you didn't? Never
had a problem. There's always like they're checking and they, I think they're suspect of everybody if they're looking anything, But I mean, we've never had somebody questioning when I was in OLP ever of what's going on. Are you hiding something or anything like that?
Right. Generally, do you get the sense that pinch me? Generally, do you get the sense that Bare Naked Ladies tunes are just floating through my head right now? If I had $1 million,
pinch me,
pinch me. Did you get the sense that the customs officials got on the bus in part because they thought it was pretty cool to get on a bus?
Yeah, that's the other thing, because you're in a tour bus, then they just they're still working long days and it's boring. So if a tour bus comes by, there's something to look at.
It's pretty fun, right?
Yeah, they always will ask, or you give them a couple shirts and a couple CDs. They're used to that. They get donuts. They get CDs like cops get donuts.
No.
Band merch.
Do they really?
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised they're allowed to take them.
I don't know. I guess it's usually after everything's fine, like, oh, here you go. Have a good day. Thanks.
You can be my alcohol. We're going to talk about summer camp on the show today.
Yes.
This is, when people ask how much do you guys figure out what you're going to do on the show beforehand, we had a brief conversation before the show and we thought, I don't know, what's coming up? Like May 2-4, it's kind of early for that. And somehow we got on the subject of summer camp, so we thought we'd talk about summer camp.
Yeah.
Because we both went to summer camp. And in fact, we have a little summer camp game that we're going to play.
Yeah.
So why don't we take a short break, and we'll come back and play our summer camp game.
Perfect.
Bye now.
Would you like some egg and beans? Fuck off! You're not my mom!
Hey, we're back.
Happy people come together, let your light shine. Sharing love with one another, let your light shine. Let no difference grow between you,
What
let
the?
your light shine. Let his spirit flow between you, let your light shine. Let his light shine on. Let your light shine.
Good old Circle Square Ranch.
From the 1980s. Are they doing the Lord's work? I don't understand what's happening. Is Let Your Light Shine, is that about Jesus?
Yep. It's a Saturday morning congressional.
Was it really?
Well, it was kind of like there was a church-based camp that got on the TV, and then they'd fire a little gospel in there.
Let Your Light Shine.
Kids.
I went to church camp. I went for 5 years. I actually went to church camp for till I was 16, really a long time.
Wow.
And mostly it was because there were lots of girls there, and over the course of the week you get to know them pretty well.
Whoa, nice. That was some political wordling.
Well, you know why? First of all, they used to say at the dances we had to dance Bible width apart.
Yeah.
And they joked that they'd come around with the Bible, and that's how far apart you had to be. But I'm not an opener. I've never been an opener. You probably are. But I kind of grow on you over the course of a few days. So camp was a great environment for me socially.
That's where you let your light shine on.
That's where I let my light shine, yeah. And it was like canoeing.
But weren't you on TV already?
Well, I guess I must have been 16 then. I must have been the summer I was 15 was the last summer that I went.
Okay, and you started Street Sense when you were 16?
That fall. No, 15. That fall.
50. Yeah, okay. Because that would have been a little greasy when you're there when you're like 16.
So greasy. Handing out 8x10s.
Yeah.
Handing out signed 8x10s.
Come
of
on.
me and Benita Ha. The
Come
truth
behind
is,
my tree over here. You're picked.
There was some God stuff, but it was mostly a side salad of God stuff. The meat was like swimming and canoeing and, necking.
Necking, yep. I remember when I went to Camp Kitchikawana, which is in Ontario. It's a wonderful little spot. Nice lakes.
What does Kitchikawana mean?
I don't remember. Good times.
How long did you go there?
A week. I think it was grade 4 or something like that.
And was it social?
Yeah, it was good times, definitely. Social. I remember some weird stuff happened that week, Bod.
Go on.
It was like a classic. I don't know why these things have to happen to me kind of thing. Story.
Go on.
So I'm with my buddy Alex O'Reilly, who's still my friend to this day. He lives in Winnipeg at the moment. But we were at this camp, and we were on one side of the cabin, and there was like 4 other kids in the cabin, and it was one night, and we're all, you know how you are when you're kids, you're having a great time and talking, and then this one kid starts talking about how. This is so ridiculous. And I think we were probably 9 years old or something at the time. He's like bragging about how how hard he can make his cock.
I'm sorry?
Yes, he's like, I can make my penis hard like wood. No, wait, like steel. In the middle of the room.
What?
Yeah, he's talking about it, and all of a sudden. He's like, check it out, and like, he's got his flashlight out, and this kid has like, happens to be like the next John Holmes from Canada here.
No,
I'm not kidding. He has like a fucking 11-inch cock.
That's traumatizing.
Like, slinging it around, and he's like, everybody's just cracking up, and he's laughing, and all of a sudden, we hear. Hey, what's going on from outside of the camp? And it's like the window, and there's a light shines in from that window.
On his bird?
It's like 2 counselors, and they're like, what's going on in there? And it's literally like flashes like around the room, and then finds the cock, and it stays right on it.
No.
And it was just really bizarre after that, because the kid was like, what's going on? And then the guy's like, hey, keep doing it.
What?
That's what the counselor says. Keep doing it. Maybe
he thought the guy rescued a manatee.
Yeah. So it just got all kinds of awkward after that. Like imagine 6 kids laughing, and what does he mean, and what's going on here? And then the other counselor, and... I
have so
show.
many questions.
Yeah, I don't know did that make any sense?
Well, most of them have to do with why would the counselor say keep doing that?
Exactly, yeah. To this day, I'm like, what's up with that part? So, yeah.
So your friend who lives in Winnipeg is this guy, or he was with you?
No, he was there with me, and we were both watching, and there were 4 other kids, and the kid with the fucking degree and huge cock was one of those 4 kids, and me and Alex were like, what the fuck, this is insanity. Wow. This is classic, like totally crazy night.
9 years old.
Yeah. Yep.
So everyone was just kind of traumatized and laid in their bunk and stared at the ceiling and went to bed.
Yeah, the dust settled from the situation, and then that was it. And I don't even, those other guys ran away, and it was like, how it is towards the end of the week, everybody starts saying stuff's going on, and guys are getting in trouble, and yeah.
My problem at camp was less traumatic in that specific way, but I
figured that happened always at camp, because that was the only time I went to camp.
That's just what camp is. That's what
it is. All of a sudden, you start comparing your penis size with the guy with the biggest cock. I guess that's what his claim was. Why would you say, "Hey guys, look how hard I can make my dick." I mean, I've met guys in bars that are hammered that think that's all that they can do, but maybe this was that guy as a kid. Like, he probably
What do you mean?
got into porno.
What do you mean you've met guys in bars who think that's all they can do?
There's always been that guy. Have you not seen it? Maybe you haven't gone to the party late enough where there's the odd guy who thinks because he has a big penis, that's what he does, and starts swinging it around like, "Hey, check it out." You not met those?
It must happen at shirts off parties.
Shirts off parties / yeah. I know of a famous athlete who's famous for doing it.
No.
He actually names it. He names it. He says it's called P11.
No.
Yeah, P11 as in 11 inches, and it's like 2 Coke cans together. And like if he's hammered, P11's showing up at some point.
And I would know his name. I would know his name.
You would, yeah, you know this person. You know this guy. And, yeah, hey, you want to see P11? It's got nothing to do with, sexual harassing somebody. It's just more to do with, like,
circus sideshow.
Frank the Tank, Party King, here we go. Check out the madness.
Okay, so let me ask you something. The guys who are driving Honda Civics with ground effects packages and blasting Europe, it's peacocking. It's to try to attract girls.
Yeah.
I've always wondered if that ever works.
No different than this guy who probably, if you're hung like a mule and you wear jogging pants with no underwear and you cruise around the park.
But does that work?
I guess. I don't know.
Like,
because you see that I've been at like kids not when I was a kid at the baseball games where there's like that guy who's like, this guy's got a fucking boner with his pants on, and he's like he doesn't care. He's happy about it, showing everybody.
How did things go so horribly sideways?
Do you ever look around when you're at fairs and shit in small towns?
Not for that.
No, I'm saying after a fucking few drinks, you gotta keep your eyes open, JT.
Oh my gosh.
Crazy shit happens out there.
Clearly, I'm hanging out in the right places.
Maybe I'm just a gravitational pull to fucking ridiculous shit.
But is P11, does that work to chum the waters to bring some hot looking tunas around?
Well, this person's always doing that. That's his kind of what keeps his motor flowing. So, and he's
crazy,
always active and supported.
There you go.
Craziness.
Oh well, it kind of makes my inability to use the restroom in communal washrooms seem so tame by comparison.
My friend Alex never went to the bathroom all week. He couldn't do it. The bathrooms were so dirty.
I know.
Rock the number 2, so he came when we got back to the school. He went right away. I was like, how do you do that? How do you hold it for a fucking week?
Will. Sheer will and determination.
And he probably just had like an iron hard one little tiny nut of shit that popped out, and that was the end of it.
Okay. So one of the things that we were going to do...
Just like an old dry walnut.
Or maybe it actually was. Maybe it was a craft that he made.
Oh, man.
One of the things that we were going to do is come up with the name of camps.
Yeah.
And try to guess if they were real camps or fake camps.
Yeah.
So we're going to come up with the name of the camp and where it is in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
And then guess which is, if they're real or fake.
Yes, I'm ready to rock. Are you ready?
I'm so totally ready.
Do you want to just go for it?
I'll go first.
You go first.
You ready?
Yep.
Skiff Lake, New Brunswick. Camp Koodalugu.
That sounds like a real one.
It's not. It's fake.
Oh.
Camp Koodalugu, I made up.
Okay. You ready for mine?
Yeah.
Camp Okay, I'll say this is in this is in Winkler, Manitoba. Okay, bud.
Yeah.
Camp Watchalista Counselor.
Can you say it again? Say it again.
Watchalista Counselor.
I'm gonna say that's fake.
Yeah, you got it, bud.
Okay.
It's fake.
You ready?
Yeah.
In Falcon Lake, Manitoba,
Yeah.
is there or is there not Camp Itchalegi?
It's your lady. That's gotta be a camp. There's no way. That's fake. That's real. I'm saying that's real.
It's
No?
real fake, bud. I made it up.
No, it's fake. It's your lady.
Camp Itchalegi. All right, you go.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
This one in Chestermere, Alberta.
Okay.
Camp Trustafunda.
I'm gonna say that's fake, bud. It's really good though.
It's fake.
Can you imagine? That sounds like a Ivan Reitman movie.
Oh yeah. for
Camp
sure.
Trustafunda. All right, in Stormer Lake, Ontario, Camp Crotchadoo.
That's gotta be fake.
That's fake.
Yes. Okay, ready? Ready?
Yeah.
In Duncan, BC, Camp Leave 'em Alone.
Oh man, it sounds so fake. I feel like it might be real. No, there's no way a camp would be called Camp Leave 'em Alone?
Leave 'em alone.
That's fake.
Yeah.
In
Yeah, it's fake.
Michipicoten Provincial Park, Ontario, Camp Touch This. I couldn't even get it out. Can't touch this.
touch
Ding, ding, ding,
this.
ding, ding, dong, ding, dong. Can't touch this.
That's fake.
Yes, that's fake.
That's a good one.
We should start a
Okay,
camp
yeah.
called Camp Touch This with private restrooms.
In Mahone Bay, Nova Scotia.
Okay?
You know that area?
Yeah, I do.
Maybe? Can't get your clothes off.
It's funny because I had Camp Poundja. I'm going to say that's fake, Jeremy.
Yeah, that's fake.
All right, here's a trick one. This is my last one. Carpenter Lake, BC. Camp Ing.
No way. Camping?
Yeah, Camp Ing. Now think about it before you answer.
Where is it again?
Carpenter
Such a
Lake,
beautiful lake.
BC. Camp
I'm going to
Ing.
say that's fake.
Yeah, of course that's fake.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Camp Touch This. Ding, 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 ding. Ding, ding. Ding, ding. Camp Touch This.
I think I have one left here. Camp in SARS Lake. Camp Catch a Virus.
It's so hard.
Yeah.
Just like
We're
the
having
guy
some
in
fun
your
here.
bunk.
Just like
I'm going to say that's fake.
I think he actually said he was going to make it hard as a rock and then wood. Wood. Like wood's harder than rock.
Which, I think rock is harder, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But to like say rock, no, wood
Is backwards.
shows you the strength of his brain. I think
Well,
he would like
I guess he was
titanium.
blessed in
No,
other arenas.
what?
I guess he was blessed in other arenas.
Yeah, all the brains went south.
But really, there's only one job you can do with that particular gift,
Yeah.
right? It's not like you won the lottery. It's like one scratch ticket that you got a free ticket on.
No, I know. And there's always like you become that guy in the neighborhood, the stories.
Yeah.
Popular to some, but not to all.
Well, and I have to assume half the people would be curious, and maybe the other half would be really put off, wouldn't they?
What if his name was John Merrick?
Imagine.
The Elephant Man.
Trunk. He's got a trunk.
He's got a trunk up in the sunk.
We'll take a break on TNT and be right back to wrap it up. Hold the wedding.
And you know what I'm saying? The question is, have you ever killed a man?
Pure Canadianity, bud.
Yeah, what a shame.
We lost a great one this week. Lois Lillian-Steen has left us at 78 years old. Certainly part of the fabric of almost every Canadian kid, Sharon, Lois, and Bram.
Yeah.
It was a TV show. They were a live touring act. And in the late 80s, they could sell out Radio City Music Hall in New York a few nights in a row. It was the hot ticket in town for celebrities and their kids.
I saw the Elephant Show live when I was a kid, probably about 6 or 7 years old. I don't know if you did.
I didn't. I didn't ever see them as a kid. I saw them as an adult. Where did you see them? Do you remember?
I don't remember. It was like a school trip thing, so it was probably like a theater up somewhere in I don't remember where, but it was had to be like an event that we were taken to from the school. But I remember the scene and how crazy it was, and just the bigness of it, and just kind of the early exposure to live music being that and them, and you just got a clear understanding. Went even to the point where one of my drum teachers was the touring drummer with them, Paul DeLong, for years as well. So just an absolute institution. It's super sad, but I mean that music will continue to teach kids and give kids lots of enjoyment for centuries.
Well, it's a really good point, and one I hadn't really considered. But the producers of Jonovision produced Skinamarink TV with them around the same time, so I got to spend some time with Sharon, Lois, and Bram, and they were folkies, and they were musicians first who happened to start making music for kids. So it was very important to them to have a real band instead of touring with a tape recorder. Mm-hmm. They were legitimately musicians, and though the lyrics were funny and cute, the music was sound too. And
absolutely,
I bet that did impact generations of kids as far as their appreciation for a melody and storytelling through song goes.
Yeah, and because they didn't do it with, the typical, a lot of kids' music they make cheaply, and like you said, they didn't do that. They were more authentic, and they made really interesting, strong recordings, and I guess kind of started that genre of, making millions as an artist, and not having to cater to an older audience, but still maintaining some honesty and absolute integrity in your work.
I often think about, especially now that I have kids, and I'm sure you've done the same, how you often hear actors say, I wanted to do this animated movie because I wanted to do something that my kids would really dig.
Yeah. And
I think about that more now. That's one of the reasons I did this show called Game On that's coming out on YTV on May 5th, because I wanted to do something that my kids could watch. But it takes a certain type of performer like Sharon, Lois, and Bram to have the patience to play to an audience, like a restless audience like that. But having said that, there's no more rabid, adoring crowd than a group of 1,000 3-year-olds seeing their idols in the flesh. Like, that must have been so wild.
Well, I mean, it's your first understanding of mania or live feeling, because you see some kids. Even I remember when I was a kid,
you see some kids going crazy,
and you're like, "What's up with that?" like already as a kid, you're like, I don't get why that kid's going so crazy.
Exactly.
And some kids just let themselves go and they don't care and they go crazy just because it is what it is. You know, it's not faked. I mean, when you saw the Ed Sullivan Show with the Beatles, that turned everybody into kids. You know, all these teenage girls turned into 5-year-old kids going insane. And that's raw and a connected thing that you can't explain. It's definitely not postured.
And there's something about those influences that happen when you're a kid that stay with you your whole life. I mean, we've talked on the show about Mr. Dressup before. Jonathan Crombie, the actor that made the role of Gilbert Blythe from the Anna Green Gables story famous, left us also in the last week. And it's been interesting to watch grown women share their girlhood crushes and fond reminiscences of him being the first guy they ever loved. And by all accounts, I think I crossed paths with him years ago. He was a nice dude, as I recall, and really proud to have played that part and kind of got how heavy it was for people. So that was another sad one. A couple knocks on the nostalgic Canadianity front this week.
Yeah, it's a bummer. Hopefully it doesn't. Hopefully we have a nice string of nobody great passing away. It's awful. I don't like those kind of news stories. We definitely, the fact that I'm sure Sharon and Bram will continue at some level, because I mean that music is just so still going on forever, like I said. So I'm sure that doesn't stop. That I'm sure they still tour and visit people and help people and kids and stuff like that to this point. So
well, my kids listen to Sharon Lois and Bram, and it just takes the edge right off. Like there's Squawkology in the back seat, and you fire up some the Finger song or whatever it's called. Mm-hmm. Here comes Thumpkin. Here comes Thumpkin. Just takes the edge right off.
Fire up some Raffi and some Fred Penner.
Yeah. Fire up some Valdi and some Helen Reddy.
My kids like this. Well, my daughter, because she's still 4, likes that this kids TV 123 YouTube deal, where it's just some guy from Australia who writes pop tunes for kids, and they got like, he'll have a song on like the ABCs, and it's got like 300 million views.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Like light Australian kids fare, like how do you slime while the beds are burning?
Not that harsh. It's more stomachable. Yeah, it ain't like the
Hello,
Wiggles
kids.
hardcore.
How do you slime while the beds are burning?
It's about
the time has come to sigh for your spear. Look at the
hey,
hands on
you
the clock.
need a napkin. Put a napkin on. Time to have your lunch. You have your tent. Set your tent up.
Kids, let me ask you a question. How do you sleep while the earth is turning?
How do you sleep while your beds are burning?
It's the worst kids show in history.
Peter Garrett from
Peter Garrett
Midnight Oil
kids
show. Hey kids, how do you sleep when your beds are burning?
Did you know, since the show started, you've been dying? Every breath you take, it's hurting your lungs.
Marmot? Give me some more marmot.
Kid, here comes the mascot, Acid Rain. The worst show ever.
It starts out with that bah, 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 that then that big like drum fill, bah, padooka bow. And then he's like hanging out in some room on a bed.
Bomb, boom,
Hey mate, so bad. Hey mate.
Hey, look on the ground. It's a carbon footprint.
He's going around showing kids what's wrong with the government. Hey, that's Ayers Rock. No, it's not. He starts going on the real history and the Aboriginals.
The word of the day is impeach.
Hey, there's some idiots walking on the coral reef. Yes, go beat some ass. It's on the beach throwing rocks. People on the coral reef. They're on the barrier.
That's
Peter
good
Garrett's,
stuff.
Peter Garrett's Wild Australia. Bow, bow, bow.
Look at the hands on the clock. The time has come to say fair's fair.
Are we gonna sit here and die? You're not just gonna lie there.
It's equality the kangaroo.
What?
It's equality the kangaroo. Whew. Good chatting, bud.
Good chatting, bud. Talk to you next week, bud.
Bud.
Cocktail, please.